Republican Jim Jordan of Ohio is the latest GOP member who's trying to get enough votes to become Speaker of the House. But the House, on the GOP side at least, is still scrambling to find their leader. This is all happening as this war is unraveling in Israel, and we are facing yet another possible government shutdown next month. Donna Jackson is a GOP strategist. She's worked on political campaigns for Arkansas former Governor Mike Huckabee and Senator Tim Hutchinson. Michael Williams, Democratic strategist. He's the founder and president of the Williams Group. We welcome both of you in this morning. I want to talk about bad timing, because I don't ever think there's a good time to not have a Speaker of the House. But could there be worse timing than right now?
Absolutely not. Again, it is incalculable how much damage is being done. The fact that we cannot get aid to Israel in such a critical time. But we also have, less than 30 days before a potential government shutdown.
Donna, how do Republicans go out to the country for the elections next year and say that we are a governing party when we have had now 15 votes for Kevin McCarthy? They can't seem to get a candidate who could reach the threshold on the floor of votes. How do you sell this to people and say that we are a governing party when they can't even elect one of their own speakers?
Well, first of all, I want to say that I think it's overrated that the Congress cannot function without a Speaker of the House. Congress can still enact. The other thing is, to their voters, it says that there's accountability. This happens in the private sector all the time. When you have a CEO or executives that are not functioning and not accountable to the people that they're supposed to, then we eliminate them and put other people that are competent to do that. So the messaging here is we're making sure that we're not rewarding people that are not doing their jobs.
But we've got one half of the legislative branch right now frozen in ice because this caucus can't decide upon itself. They had Steve Scalise last week and then couldn't get that done. What would it take for both factions of the Republican caucus right now, the right wing and the moderates, to agree on somebody? Because there appears to be a growing resistance now to Jim Jordan. It's no sure deal that he's going to get enough floor votes he needs.
Well, at the end of the day, we'll come out with a competent speaker. I'll say that. But here's the thing. It's always important that we have people that they elect on creating a certain agenda, that they keep to that. And that's what we need to see.
Michael, this entire time, Hakeem Jeffries, who's the minority leader of the Democrats, has come out and said, we need to get moving. We need to get back to work. It's not only Israel. Ukrainian aid has been frozen right now, and we've got a November 17th deadline where the government is probably going to shut down again right now because it appears to be on a collision course for this. Is this unavoidable, or do you think there's any chance they can get this done before we run out of time next month?
Well, I would say this. I think Democrats are standing by waiting. Several proposals have been made with regards to how it is that they can help Republicans get by this sort of speaker morass that they're in right now. I think given what happened and sort of what led to former Speaker McCarthy's ouster, that Democrats are on board with keeping the government open. So I think that there is a path forward on that. One, you'd have to get a speaker. And I do agree with Donna in the sense that the House can operate right now. They don't need a speaker in order to take up these important pieces of legislation. But that makes the problem worse because they're not able to get a consensus in order to operate. So I think that if you look at Jim Jordan's proposal to the caucus last week, where he said, I don't want to have a government shutdown, and here is the path forward. By far, he is the most conservative person in the race, or more conservative for sure than Kevin McCarthy. And if he is committed to not having a government shutdown, I'm optimistic that there is a path forward eventually.
Is Jim Jordan's voice, though, more representative of the Republican caucus right now than Kevin McCarthy's ever was?
Absolutely. You have to look at Kevin McCarthy's record. 67% of the time he voted with the Democratic agenda. If you compare that to Nancy Pelosi, 7% with the conservative agenda. At the end of the day, Americans are suffering because there's high energy, costs, they're high inflation, and they want to get spending under control. So we need someone that's going to do that. And Kevin McCarthy, I'm sorry, was not that guy.
While this has been going on, the White House has been saying we need to get back to work, we need to do things. It seems at this point the president has been hands off on this. It's another branch of government, but should he be this hands off on this? We don't have a speaker right now.
Well, I mean, I don't think it's fair to say that they've been hands-off. They have, in fact, been engaging with the House Republicans, but they don't know who to engage with, right? So there is not a leader there. So the conversations have happened on the Republican and Democratic side in the Senate, and as well as the House Democrats. So the conversations are there, and we do expect the administration to send up a proposal for aid to Israel, for humanitarian assistance in the region, for immigration funding, for Ukraine funding, and for initial disaster supplemental.
Donna, do you think we'll get votes this week on whether or not we will get somebody in that chair?
Oh, absolutely. Listen, it's all going to work out. This is a part of the process that has to happen in order for us to come out with a good conservative agenda. And I think that absolutely we'll get there. Debate is a good thing.
You hold on to that one vote to vacate the chair, though, we could be right back where we are in a couple of weeks. Donna, Michael, we thank you so much for taking the time and joining us live this Sunday morning.
Thank you, Tom.
We appreciate it.